Hey guys, how's it going? Today I wanted to speak about a subject of what should we really be learning in schools. Well, traditionally, throughout the ages, we've always learned about math, sciences, history, and the literature of the country that you're in. Well, the thing is, that's very cool, and we definitely do need to know a lot of the basics of all these subjects because it's just important to be cultured, to just know. But the problem with all that is that, unfortunately, it doesn't really prepare us for real life, for finances, for success, for us to be able to handle ourselves in an efficient way. And that's where the problem really lies. Because for me, I found that it took me years and years and years to really understand how to manage my money, for example, or how to save up and really be able to be efficient with what you want versus what you actually really need, and how you should really be treating yourself and how you should be basically not treating yourself sometimes too. But of course, with our society, and especially in America, everybody is prone to wanting everything right away, and they get themselves in enormous debts. And everything is by credit, right? It's always about the poor man who barely makes any money, but he drives a Tesla. So I'm a little bit exaggerating, but not so much. So the thing is, what I never really understood, at least in European schools, is that they focus so much on this history and sciences and math, which is great, but I really think that they should get us really, really good at the basics, such as, addition, subtraction, divisions, like regular linear equations, multiplication, stuff like that. But anything that's a little bit more pushed, I wouldn't really bother with it, if that makes sense. I would use that time to basically get people to learn about economics, and not just the history of the economics and what happened in the past, because I really don't really care about that too much. But I really want to know, from a financial point of view, how the stock market really works, how to really trade, how to do a lot of these things, and how to start a business, how to manage yourself as just an individual who wants to be successful and who wants to succeed and who wants to do things, because it's just not always that easy, if that makes sense. So then other things that most people are lacking too is, for example, a simple skill of being able to cook for yourself. And that's, again, financial success, because if you're eating out all the time and you're just saying, I can't even cook myself or boil myself an egg or something like that, then you're really being a little bit silly. And then you're just relying on the fact that you have to be able to go to restaurants and things like that in order to actually nourish yourself. And I think that it's also important to know things such as different languages and be exposed to different cultures, and just in general how to be a successful human being. And these are all things that are really, really neglected. And for example, how can I say? I feel that having taken or having a BA in theater arts, from having gone to college later on, even then, it's cool, but they're not really teaching you to be an actor in these places. What they're teaching you is how to be a teacher in some way. And that's okay for people who want to be teachers, but what if they just were more honest about the thing and just telling you, look, this is a field that has nothing to do with teaching, so if you really want to act and stuff like that, then you got to get out there and just focus on the acting classes and not really on the history of theater and all that stuff, because again, it seems to be like a waste of time And I think that goes with like a lot of subjects. Like they're teaching you all these extra things that you don't really need to know, because after all, if you're going to get hired by a company, as long as you have the basics, you'll be able to learn the rest. And then there's other fields, such as programming and other stuff, which it's cool. And even like music, for example. A lot of times I always thought it was funny, because usually the kids that are in college that are learning about music, they learned it when they were kids or like teenagers, and they've been playing for years, and once they go to college, for that all they're learning, or all they do is basically learn about the history and not really about extra skills and stuff like that. And same goes with stuff like programming. It's cool, you have to learn, like it does help to do some basics and stuff like that, I guess, in school, but really I've always found that the people who are extremely good at this stuff are usually people who have basically had this kind of fascination for these things for years, and they do it in their spare time. And I think, again, that goes without saying, to really be good at something, it's not really school that's going to give it to you, but it's going to be whatever you do with your spare time and how you manage it. And if you're obsessed with whatever subject you're obsessed with, you're definitely going to become good at it, be it whatever you want it to be. And school can only get you so far. It can introduce you to stuff, can show you, hey, oh, cool, programming is really cool. Now I know the basics. You know what? I'm going to take it further. So really, you need to be able to get all these things afterwards by yourself. And that's why I say that I think it would be nice if we got all the basic sciences, history, math, and all that stuff in our grammar, middle school, high school, and just got those basics really, really well, and not be so pushed onto other things when you haven't even mastered the prior stuff. And then on top of that, so what I firmly believe is that basically what we have to do is learn the basics in school, but then the rest should be done by ourselves. It's great to know the basics of math, sciences, history, and all that stuff, but being pushed further and further and having to do tests where you're not even like really assimilating the stuff, because yeah, you'll pass your test, but you don't really know it, is kind of pointless sometimes, because you've not really learned much. Because the thing is that you haven't really assimilated the prior stuff. And if you really want to specialize in that, then you can do that later in college and stuff like that. And then another thing for me is obviously that they're not really, again, teaching you properly about economics, and they're not teaching you about how to create a proper business and how to really be a proper adult and be able to live by yourself, be it by cooking, making your laundry, knowing how to just be a better human being. And some people do manage to get that, but if you're at least introduced to these things in school, then if you want to take it further, then you can. But by not being introduced to it at all, and even when they do like those economic classes and stuff like that, it's not real economics, it's more like history of economics. And they should teach people how to prepare somehow like their own taxes and be efficient with their money, because otherwise you just end up in debt, and that's what's really happening to our society. We're just ignorant about a lot of these things, and the people who are successful are usually the people who have not studied so much in school, but they're the people who just naturally had an interest, or they just wanted to learn about stuff, and they just did. So I'm just saying, like, try to figure that out for yourself and learn, so you can have successful children or have a successful society and less homeless people. Really, education is key, but the right education is key, not sloppy education. Otherwise you're just wasting your time. Okay, Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.